ていうか、なんで泣いてたんだ？
デビューできたはいいけど人気出ないんじゃって不安に。
人気なきゃ書く意味ないって思ってるのか？
そんなことないです。漫画描くのはずっと好きで。
じゃあいいじゃん。自分の理想に近づくには書き続けるしかないと思う。
そうですよね。
Hey everybody, welcome to our lesson of learning Japanese. Today we're going to cover another anime line of the day, and we're going to be using a line from the new show Comic Girls, and this is going to be from the very first episode, and we're going to focus on one line in particular, but our full coverage is going to basically include an exchange, a verbal exchange of 3 lines. So this conversation between 2 characters for us is going to start with the very first line. Ninki nakya egaku意味ないって思ってるのか?
人気なきゃ書く意味ないって思ってるのか?
This line right here is going to translate to, do you think that there's no meaning in drawing if you're not popular? So let's break down this line really quick because it's not really the one that we want to focus on. First up, we have the word ninki, which is going to translate to popular. We have the phrasing nakya. This is a very casualization of the more formal phrasing nakyareba, which is going to be the conditional ba form of the negative nai word or whatever. And so if nai means negative and ba is conditional, this will basically translate to if not. If not what? Well, with the word that we use, which was ninki, which means popular. So if not popular, so yeah, nakareba, this is going to be the very casual form of it, nakya, and this is kind of indicative of, yeah, casual speak, anime talk, kind of, not really formal Japanese that you would use in a conversation, unless you're talking with friends or whatever. So moving on, we have next the verb egaku, which means to draw. This is a show about manga authors or drawers. And after that, we have the word imi, which means meaning. So egaku is going to be modifying the noun imi. So basically, egaku imi is going to mean basically reason to draw, meaning to draw, the meaning that you have that, you know, compels you to draw or whatever. And then right after that, we have the simple phrasing of nai. This is very kind of casual speak here. It's basically just dropping the particles that we would ordinarily use with nai or inai. So it's just saying there is no meaning to draw. So egaku imi nai. And so we're going to quote everything that we just covered, ninki nakya egaku imi nai, with the hard te there, because this is going to be marking basically a thought. And that thought is going to be used with the verb omou, which means basically to think. So think that whole thing that I just said. Think that there's no reason to draw if I'm not popular or whatever. Omou here is going to be conjugated to its te form plus iru, but we dropped the e in iru because it's casual. So omotteru, which is going to be basically to think that, like continuously think that, presently think that. Then we have the 2 ending particles non ka to basically emphasize how this is a question. So ninki nakya egaku imi nai te omotteru no ka is going to translate to, do you think that there's no reason to draw if you're not popular?
人気なきゃ書く意味ないって思ってるのか?
Okay, so line 1 covered. Alright, so that's the first line down. Moving on to the next line, this is said by the person that she's talking to, and she says, Sonna kotoないです。Manga egaku no wa zutto好きで. And this is going to translate to basically, oh, that's not true at all. No, that's not what I think at all. I'll always love drawing manga. But then the ending particle there with the dot 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 basically means, like she said her first thought and the sentence isn't complete, but she like is kind of stalling or whatever.
そんなことないです。漫画描くのはずっと好きで。
So sonna koto nai desu is just going to mean basically that's not it. So we have the sonna, which is demonstrative adjective basically. So it's modifying the word right after, which is koto, which means thing, but it's referring to what was just said by the other character. So sonna koto is going to mean that thing, but basically that thing that you just said is what it's more referring to. Then again, we have this negative indicator nai, so that thing is not. So more naturally that just turns into that's not true. What you just said is not true. Sonna koto nai desu.
そんなことないです。
Next we have the word manga, a very common word that most anime fans should know. It just means manga or comics. We have the word egaku again, which means to draw. Here we're dropping particles still. Usually we'd have the direct object marker o there after manga and before egaku to mean basically to draw the manga, but we dropped it because this is casual talk. And then we normalize the verb with the particle no. So manga egaku no is going to mean basically drawing manga, marking that as the topic. then saying zutto suki, and this is going to mean basically the adverb zutto, which means basically always, continuously, and then of course the word suki, which means basically to like. So zutto suki is going to mean basically I will always like, or I'll forever like or love drawing manga. And like I said earlier, the de at the very end there with the dot 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 just means like she didn't complete her sentence, but she's kind of pausing because she doesn't really know what to say.
そんなことないです。漫画描くのはずっと好きで。
And now we move on to the final line here, which is said by the other character. Now she's responding. This is our line that we're going to focus on because it's kind of the most poignant. 自分の理想に近づくには書き続けるしかないと思う。
じゃあいいじゃん。自分の理想に近づくには書き続けるしかないと思う。
そうですよね。
Alright, so first up we have this phrasing of Jibun no risou, and this is going to translate to your own ideal. This is a noun of a noun modification being implemented with the particle no there you see in the center. It's being used with the two noun words jibun, which means yourself, oneself, and risou, which means basically ideal. So jibun no risou is going to be your own ideal. We're going to mark that noun of a noun modification with the particle ni to express direction. Then we're going to use that with the verb chikazuku, and this is going to mean basically to get closer to. So you'll see here that the ni that we just used is basically expressing direction towards your own ideal. So getting closer to your own ideals. Right after that, we have the usage of the double particles niwa, and this is being used right after the dictionary form of the verb right there of chikazuku, and this is going to be basically expressing the purpose, so for the purpose of getting closer.
自分の理想に近づくには
Then following that, we have a what is pretty much called a compound verb right here. It's kind of a grammar pattern in and of itself, using the stem form of a verb, or the pre-mas form is another way to call it, plus the other verb, tsuzukeru, which means to continue, to mean basically to continue doing that verb. So the verb that we're using with tsuzukeru is going to be kaku, which means to write or to draw. In this case, of course, to draw. So it turns into kaki, and then we plug tsuzukeru right after onto it. So kakitsuzukeru is going to mean basically to continue drawing. Stacking more grammar patterns here, we have the shikanai grammar pattern, which means basically no choice but to do this. So it can be used in a number of different forms. Sometimes you have it being used with a direct object, and then you conjugate the verb that you're using it with into the nai form. Here we're using a verb instead of the direct object, and then we just have the default phrasing of shikanai right after the verb. So kakitsuzukeru shikanai is going to mean basically no choice but to continue drawing. And finally, we wrap all of this into a thought. So basically, she's saying, I think this. So we have the quote marker, or the thought marker to wrap all that up into a thought, and then we have the verb omou, which means to think or to feel. So altogether, once again, this line, 自分の理想に近づくには書き続けるしかないと思う. And literally this will translate to something like, I think you have no choice but to keep drawing for the sake or for the purpose of getting closer to your ideal. Maybe more naturally to word that, we'll say something like, I think you just have to keep drawing to get closer to your own ideal, or something like that.
自分の理想に近づくには書き続けるしかないと思う。
So let's review this whole exchange right here. We started off with 人気なきゃ描く意味ないって思ってるのか? Do you think that there's no reason to draw if you're not popular?
人気なきゃ描く意味ないって思ってるのか?
そんなことないです。漫画描くのはずっと好きで. No, that's not true at all. I'll always love drawing.
そんなことないです。漫画描くのはずっと好きで。
And then finally, じゃあいいじゃん。自分の理想に近づくには書き続けるしかないと思う. That's fine then. If you ask me, you just need to continue drawing, keep drawing until you reach your ideal.
じゃあいいじゃん。自分の理想に近づくには書き続けるしかないと思う。
And so yeah, now let's just really quickly cover the grammar patterns that we encountered with this line, or lines from this episode of Kame Girls. We have the nakya, which is a casualization of the nakereba, which is kind of a compound grammar pattern because it's the conditional ba form of the negative nai form. We had a verb modifying a noun with the egaku imi, which just modifies the noun. Negative nai right there, conjugation with the hard te marker, and omou to express thought, feeling. We had some sentence ending particles, no and ka to give the nuance of questioning. We had again the nai in the second line. We had the nominalization of a verb with egaku no to turn into a noun so that you could mark it as the topic with the topic marker wa. We had the ski grammar pattern to mean to like. We had a noun of a noun modification with jibun no risou with particle ni right there. Double particle ni wa after the dictionary form of a verb to express it as the purpose. We had the compound / grammar pattern of a verb in its stem form plus tsuzukeru to mean to continue doing that verb. Then we had the shikanai grammar pattern to mean nothing but that as an option, basically only used in negative form. And then finally we had to omou again to mean I think or I feel. Alright, so that is going to wrap it up for our coverage of Anime Line of the Day for Comic Girls Episode 1, analyzing the line that translated to basically I think you just have to keep doing something to reach your ideal. And so yeah, hopefully you can see how you can modify that line a bit. You can tailor it to something else you don't want to say. You don't have to say you have to keep drawing. You can say you have to keep doing something else. Like you have to keep studying Japanese if you want to reach your ideal or something along those lines.
っていうか、なんで泣いてたんだ？
デビューできたはいいけど人気出ないんじゃって不安に。
人気なきゃ描く意味ないって思ってるのか？
そんなことないです。漫画描くのはずっと好きで。
じゃあいいじゃん。自分の理想に近づくには書き続けるしかないと思う。
そうですよね。
Alright, that's gonna wrap it up for this episode of Anime Line of the Day. Remember, if there were grammar patterns mentioned for this line, they'll be mentioned in the description or the pinned comment below with links to the individual lessons on them. You can also probably find them in the playlist of our complete grammar video series shown on the screen right here alongside our anime playlist. And last but not least, don't forget to try to translate the bonus line we provided. Leave your translation in a comment below. Check out our Patreon, like the video, and subscribe. With all that said and done, see you next time.